One of the most common questions I get asked is how I remove the labels off of the jars and lids. So I want to talk about some of my favorite tips. If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross and this is the Cross Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. And I have tons of videos here on the channel teaching you how to store produce so it stays fresh for weeks, but also to rotate your inventory that you have in your house. And it is so important that those things are labeled correctly. So in some of my other pantry videos, I had talked about how I had pretty labels on my jars at one point and how it drove me crazy because I never know the quantities I need for those jars, and they rotate sizes as we work through the inventory, or it didn't have all the information on the jar that I needed. So I started removing all those labels that I had put on jars and started using a Sharpie marker instead. I love the flexibility it gives me just writing on the jar, because I keep track of things like when I purchased it, how much the quantity was if I'm buying something large in bulk. And sometimes I'll even make little dash marks as I use things in the jar so I can keep track of, and this year I used this much, especially things like bulk purchases of salt or ingredients that will last a really long time. It helps me keep track of things in my pantry. But I also write things like cooking instructions or recipes just directly on the glass. I find this is the simplest way to do it. And for the glass, it doesn't matter if you use a fine point marker or the bigger poster markers. So whatever way you like to write on the glass jars, it will come off easily. To wash these off, I just use a little bit of soapy water on a dishcloth. My dishcloths have a little bit of scrubby on the back of them, and I find that works the best to get into the little grooves that are in the glass. Now, unless I'm doing a canning project to make things shelf stable, like canning tomatoes, I don't normally write on the metal lids anymore because it takes extra effort to get those marks off of the lid. You can use a lemon essential oil to remove it, and some people say that you can use rubbing alcohol also on it. I'm just pretty good when I'm using the metal lids and it says something that I know for sure this is hot pickles. If I reuse this lid for something in my refrigerator like strawberries, it doesn't look anything like the thing that's on this lid. And if you are preserving things to make them shelf stable by pressure canning or water bath canning, you only use these lids one time. So this is a lid that I've been using over and over again since 2021 when I made hot pickles. But I can keep reusing this in the refrigerator or in the pantry, just not for shelf-stable canning items. I also write on the lids for our Snapware containers. These are plastic lids that go on our glass containers, and I keep these in the fridge or the freezer for multiple different items, but this is where you really need to pay attention to what marker you're using. So this one, you want to make sure that it's a Sharpie fine point tip and not the larger one that you use for posters. So we will make sure that we link the correct one in the description below so you can find it easily. But this is just a normal old school Sharpie marker that you want to use. The poster markers, you can write on the labels, but they take a little bit more elbow grease of scrubbing off to get them off easily. So both of these, I'm going to show you how I wash them. It's going to be the same way, and you can see how much easier it comes off with just the fine tip marker. So you want more tips on how I store things in my pantry, fridge, and freezer? We have tons of videos for you to check out on our channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the Cross Legacy.